The following video contains footage of the St. Louis Cardinals wearing red caps on the road, which will be disturbing to those with good taste. Viewer discretion is advised.
It has been nearly 6 years since I made a video about the Cardinals', shall we say, rather unfortunate reduced usage of the Navy Road Cap, and I hadn't planned on making an update for a while. But after what I saw in Washington this and the previous 3 seasons, in Arizona the last few years, and then again earlier this year in Anaheim, I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to do an update. I have a question. What in the hell is going on with the Cardinals and their road cap situation? It's bad enough we just watched them have a July goodbye for the 3rd year in a row, and it's bad enough that the birds on the bat have gone from being chain-stitch embroidered directly onto the jersey to a half-chain-stitched, half-sewn patch affixed to the front of the uniform that makes the Cardinals' on-field jerseys look like a slightly more expensive version of a stadium giveaway. But now we are seeing a proliferation of red on the road versus red teams, and I am not here for any of it. Since my last Navy Road Cap video, we've seen quite a few uniform changes around Major League Baseball. There was the Nike Fanatics uniform debacle where they tried to fix something that wasn't broken and have spent the last 3 years attempting to rectify it. We've seen the introduction of the soulless, ugly as hell, obvious cash grab that is the City Connect uniform program. We now have the insidious, if not inevitable, appearance of corporate advertising on uniforms, and as mentioned just a moment ago, our Cardinals jerseys now look like something that you would order off of AliExpress. Perhaps then it shouldn't be all that surprising that we've seen the Cardinals Navy Road Cap usage continue to dwindle in the last half-decade, with the when and where for said usage becoming more unclear with absolutely no communication whatsoever about it from the organization. In 2026, the St. Louis Cardinals, a franchise long seen as being one of the most visually clean, if not conservative-looking teams in all of sports, have 7 different uniform and cap combinations. 7. That is way too many, and each of them have their own self-prescribed rules for usage. In case you are unaware, though somewhat convoluted rules are, Monday through Thursday at home is always the home whites with the red caps. After playing around with different usages of their exceptionally lame City Connect uniforms and caps, and that is a really stupid and ugly cap, every Friday home game is now always the City Connect jerseys. Saturday at home is the cat piss stain alternate. Sunday at home is always the whites with the single bird on the two-tone cap. Saturday on the road is always the pajama blues. Sunday through Friday road games against teams that wear a primary home cap any color other than red sees the Cardinals wearing their red caps with the road grays. Ugh. And any game on the road against a team whose primary home cap color is red, unless it falls on a Saturday, is, according to the last public update on this matter, which was 13 years ago, supposed to see the Cardinals wearing their Navy caps with the road grays. With limited exceptions, such as throwback or special event uniforms, or trying to get people in the ballpark by having them wear the Saturday road blues at home, they follow the when and where guide pretty damn rigidly. Except for with the Navy Road Caps. Since 2020, there have been a few teams whose home caps have changed in a way that should have affected what the Cardinals wear in those cities. The Diamondbacks flipped their road and home caps beginning in 2024, meaning that their primary home cap is now back to being red as it was previously from 2007 to 2016. The Nationals switched from a red cap to a white front-paneled cap as their primary home lid in 2023, but then immediately returned to a red cap as their primary home dome in 2024. The Guardians changed their primary home cap from navy to red in 2025. Looking at the last 3 seasons, including through the month of July here in 2026, under the guidelines the Cardinals have set for themselves, St. Louis should have worn the Navy Road Caps 17 times in 2024. They wore them 11 times, failing to do so against red-capped Washington and Arizona. In 2025, they should have worn them 16 times. They wore them 11, failing to do so against Washington, Arizona, and Cleveland. Here in 2026, thus far they should have worn them 9 times. They have done so only twice, failing to do so in Washington in the first game of the Arizona series and again against the Angels. More on that in a second. Looking at the usage pattern over the last few years, it seems as if the Cardinals road cap rule must have shifted from its original 2013 prescription. And I say that because it used to be if, say, they were in D.C. playing the Nationals, and Washington, a team whose primary home cap was and is again red, happened to be wearing an alternate cap, it didn't matter. The Cardinals would still wear their Navy caps because it was predicated not on what the opponent was specifically wearing on a given night, but on what that team's primary home cap color was. Now it appears that the rule is Navy on the road versus teams whose primary home cap is red, unless it's Washington, where they haven't worn the Navy cap since 2022, or unless the opponent is wearing a throwback, City Connect, or alternate cap that is not red, unless they're playing in Philadelphia. Some of the time. The at Washington thing I cannot figure out for the life of me. There really is no explanation that would make any sense at all for the Cardinals not wearing their navies in our nation's capital. The Cardinals did finally wear their Navy caps again in Arizona this year, but only in the finale of the series. The middle game of the series was a Saturday, so yeah, with their pajama party garb, wearing the Navy would look a little weird. But in the opener, the D-backs wore their City Connect uniforms, which are purple and teal. But unless the rule has changed, that should not have mattered. It begs the question, are the Cardinals going to go red on the road versus Cincinnati when the Reds wear their original City Connect uniforms, which they have kept as a Friday alternate? What about the Phillies on their City Connect night? If I had to venture a guess, I'd say it's highly likely. Now, what we saw in Anaheim recently really pissed me off, and I don't just mean the Cardinals dropping 2 out of 3 to a god-awful Angels team. I mean them wearing red on the road versus one of only 2 red-capped AL teams. And I know it was the Angels throwback week, and I know the Angels wore Navy caps, but to beat a dead horse for the 30th time, alternate caps are not supposed to dictate their road cap usage. If the argument for them wearing red in Arizona and Anaheim is because we don't want color clashing, okay, but if that's the case, why is it that when they go to Arlington and play the Rangers, if Texas wears their red alternates, as they did for an entire series against the Cardinals in 2023, the Cardinals don't then counter that by wearing their Navy caps? If they were to go to Chicago and play the White Sox, and the Southsiders were wearing their 1971 to 1975 throwbacks, do you think the Cardinals would be wearing their navies? What about if Boston were wearing their 1975 to 1978 caps? What about if Minnesota was wearing their 76 to 86 caps? What if they were in Toronto on Canada Day? Do you think the Cardinals would bring their Navy road caps and helmets all the way across the border for just one game? Absolutely not. But my question is, why? If you've changed the rule so that it's not the primary home cap color, but the color of the cap being worn by an opponent that day that matters, why don't you follow that against all teams? I mean, they just took the Navies out on a 6-game road trip to red-capped Arizona and Anaheim and only wore them once. So it can be done. And you and I both know sure as shit, if they're going on a quick 3-game weekend road trip to Cincinnati, they'll haul their red caps and helmets with the powder blue uniforms all the way out to the Queen City just for that one game. So I just don't think that argument holds up. I know some have argued that the Cardinals are a red team and therefore should wear red caps all the time. I've even read opinion pieces online saying that red has precedence because they were named after the color and not the bird. And while the name might have originally come from the color, at least for the last 104 years, it has been associated with the bird, so I don't think that argument holds much water. As for the road cap itself, I understand the red team argument, but going back to 1940, 86 years ago, which featured the first of what I would consider the modern iteration of the interlocking STL, until 2012 when they switched back to red caps on the road, the Cardinals wore Navy caps with gray unis and a belt on the road for 46 seasons. They wore red caps with gray unis and a belt for 6 seasons. They wore red caps and gray double knit unis with Sansa pants for 12 seasons, and they wore red caps with powder blue double knits and Sansa pants for 9 seasons. That's 46 seasons to 27 seasons, nearly 2 decades more with Navy caps on the road in the modern era, and not one of them featuring the very questionable 1970s and 80s fashion choice that was the pullover look. Take away the original Victory Blue run, and you're looking at only 18 seasons of red and gray on the road during that 72-year span. Navy road caps are the more traditional St. Louis Cardinals road look. Period. They just are. Frankly, the current Cardinals uniform and cap lineup is entirely too much. Now, what I would really like to see the Cardinals do is go back to what they did from 2000 to 2012, which is, of course, winning consistently, wearing white with the red caps at home Monday through Saturday, the two-tone cap at home with the whites on Sunday, and, of course, Navy caps with the gray road unis for every single road game. I know a lot of you really like the cream alternates. I hate them. I think they look hideous, and I have felt that way about them from day one, and I feel the same way about the City Connect uniforms, and in fact about the entire City Connect program, and I think both of them should be shot into the sun for all eternity. So what do we do as fans? How can we fix this? I mean, I've written to Bill DeWitt III numerous times, as well as called the front office to let them know that I want the damn Navy Road Caps back full time, and I know that many of you have done the same or similar things. And guess what? It appears as if we might have an opportunity for our voices to be heard. The Cardinals are, right now, seeking fan input on their current uniform lineup, including usage of the Navy Road Caps. I put a link to the survey below. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you are someone like me that genuinely loves and misses the Navy Road Caps that should never have been taken away in 1965 or in 2013, you need to not only take this survey, but you need to specifically tell them that you want Navy caps back full-time on the road in the "Is there anything you'd like us to consider as we evaluate our current uniform rotation" section. Now, as I'm sure you know, the last time they solicited fan opinion on uniforms and caps, they didn't listen. But I think things are very different now. Going into 2013, the Cardinals had been to the World Series 3 times in the previous 10 years, and they had won 2 championships. They'd been to 2 other LCSs, and they were a consistent winner. Changing the road cap, even against public opinion, could be gotten away with because they were good enough to keep a lot of fans quiet. Now, ownership knows that they've screwed up a lot over the last decade plus. They know they screwed up by allowing the franchise to go from being a trendsetter in talent evaluation, minor league development, and extracting maximum value out of overlooked assets to being not only passed, but lapped by the industry in every single one of those departments up until recently. They know they screwed up in the 2014 offseason by not even attempting to sign Max Scherzer when he not only wanted to come to St. Louis, but let it be known that he would have taken less money to do so. They know they screwed up signing mid-tier players like Dexter Fowler to try and patch multiple roster holes instead of doubling down on minor league development or swimming in the deep end of free agency. They know they got their asses handed to them in several trades. They know they are 1-9 in their last 10 postseason games. They know they haven't made the playoffs since 2022. They know all the goodwill from the first 20 years of this ownership is gone. They know that 2022 was lightning in a bottle, and until Chaim Bloom's magic takes full effect, and I genuinely do believe in what he's doing, fans are not coming back in droves. They are on thin ice with many of us. When the fans are pissed and you can't give them the winning that they want right away, you're more apt to do things like reduce ticket prices, reduce concession prices, improve the quality of your stadium giveaways, and I sincerely believe this. Listen when your fans tell you that they prefer Navy caps on the road, full-time, period. So go! Tell them you don't like the City Connect uniforms. Tell them you want the Sunday home cap to stay. And by God, tell them that you want us to have our Navy Road Caps back full-time. Let's do this, Cardinals fans. If they're not going to look good in the standings for the next couple of years while they rebuild, at least let's try and help them look good in their road unis.